second. Okay, so I think the main reason I wanted to have the meeting today was because I was talking to Uzzam about next steps after um, the pandemic. And of course, I mean that seems to be so far away, judging from the increased numbers. But I mean, at some point, obviously, maybe a year from now, things will start bearing down. And the question is, what happens to our group? And so what I thought was that maybe, this crisis created kind of an opportunity that we hadn't seen before, which was kind of leveraging this talent out there to create um, like a formal kind of elective in research that could go on, and so this group would continue. But in this case, we would start kind of concentrating on different other areas of research in the hospital. But then I thought, why wouldn't we be able to do that now? It sounds to me every time I go into the chat, I find a lot of people that are looking for, opportunities for publications. And I also know that, we have many, we happen to have a real good group of faculty, but they're not very academic in their organization, in that, they do a lot of great things, but they don't always publish them. And so I think having something like this would be welcome, because number one, it would give the group members an opportunity to get involved with publications. And two, it would give the faculty another avenue to get involved with scholarly activity and publications without, having to do a lot of the work. I mean, one big example of that is Dr. Isaac Wolf. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he's a world-renowned neurosurgeon who has been using radiosurgery, gamma knife technology, to treat brain tumors. And he was one of the first people that started using gamma radiation. I don't know if you guys are familiar how it works, but it's like 182 beams of cobalt goes through your body. Most go in and out without causing any damage. But where they concentrate, they cause like a burn. And so you can technically, sculpt a lesion. So if somebody had a brain tumor, you could actually treat that brain tumor and all of the content of that brain tumor, and basically deal with that lesion without having to open the brain, the skull, and then go through normal brain to take out that tumor. And so for people, for example, with metastatic breast cancer, it's a lifesaver, because what it does is that it avoids you having to have multiple surgeries. And so when he started doing this, is 20 years ago, was just treating whatever number of tumors there were. And he would treat 15, 20 tumors in one sitting. So this person would go home that day. And so it significantly prolonged the healthy lifespan for people that pretty much had a terminal condition, and lived for years without sacrificing their quality of life. But he never published that data, and now it's a standard of care. But obviously but just like that, he has a bunch of other areas that I think, like, somebody who was interested in neuroscience, I could talk to him about facilitating some of this data, and then kind of channeling it through this group. So maybe start bringing up the concept of maybe just not all COVID. Then maybe we'll also start adding other projects that are not necessarily COVID, for people that are interested in any of these subspecialties. So we have like him. We have another person that specializes in minimally invasive spine procedures. He's got a bunch of data on other stuff that he's done, particularly the overuse of spine fusion surgery and how debilitating that is, and which is kind of the standard of care here. And for financial reasons, and then people end up with this, chronic pain that never goes away. Um, and just like that, we have doctor courses also for orthopedics. So we have different areas that we could possibly maybe start working with the chief residents. So I was thinking maybe have like a chief meeting involving this group, and then we could start like exploring different areas if you guys thought that was good. And I know Kinal is joining us soon, right? Kinal, sometime in the next couple of months?
That's right, Dr. Michelle, yes.
So I was thinking maybe this is one of the things that, I know Stora was also planning to do something. So maybe we could do something where we put something together down here. What do you think about that?
I certainly think this is a great idea, Dr. Michelle. I mean, in this particular group, we have over 200 volunteers. I do think that it would have to be a lot more formalized. Like there would need to be a process so that you can preserve, the patient confidentiality part of it. You can also have the residents' interest and the hospital needs meet what the ideas come through from all of us as well. So I think it would need to be a two-way street because, and I apologize for saying this, but we have 200 volunteers, but not all 200 of them may be actively involved in the group. So I think a formal process that helps us streamline who actually wants to be involved, who really has the ideas that Larkin can utilize while preserving patient confidentiality and hospital needs. I think those would be my two main.
So it's kind of similar to what Virginia and John did with the Team 10, right? Which is basically to get a little bit more in depth as far as when people can start joining doing projects. I think that's a great idea. And do you want to maybe put a team together of a few of you who are, especially the people that are leading some of the projects, to put that formal process in place? So the idea is not to restrict anyone from joining, but it's more, if you are going to join, that we're going to make it so that everything is streamlined. There's a process that you follow. I kind of don't want to restrict people from joining, but I do want it to be that that we leverage it the most we can, so that they get what they want, which is basically some exposure to research and maybe an elective in research. And a certificate of completion or a letter of recommendation, but also it's productive, and we're just not writing letters. Which is another thing. Is that, I mean, one of the things, I mean, as we get these requests for certificates and letters, I wanted to make it very specific. Like I didn't want to just write a letter saying, oh, he was part of the group. I'd like more detail. As far as, look, how many hours they spent on it, what sections they worked on, what specific trial they worked on, because otherwise it's not if you're gonna give this to someone who's considering you for residency training and they just get some bland letter saying that you're a great person and that you participated in this volunteer project, I don't think that's gonna do you any good. I think they'd be more interested probably in knowing, okay, what kind of research did they get involved with, and which ones exactly, and what did they do for each of those. I think they would really that would really help. What do you think, Kinal and Uzzam?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I can certainly work with with Larkin and create a team. So Uzzam, whatever you have to say, I would love to have you on that team to create this process as well.
Sure. So I would basically, I was listening to what Dr. Jack and you had to say. So I would second Kinal in what she has to offer. Like we need to have a much proper channel as to who is working on the team, what projects and what tasks they are being handed over, so that we know who are the ones who are active, who are turning their work in, and that's how we can keep up with the flow. So I would like to work with the official Larkin research team with Dr. Marcos, and maybe we and Kinal can come up with some potential members for the research team.
Okay, I mean, I see several other people that are here in this call that have been very involved. So if anybody wants to help in this group to formalize the process, I think that'd be a great idea.
Hi, Dr. Mitchell.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, thank you. This is Erwine.
Hi, Ewan. How are you?
Fine, thank you. I'm very, very much interested in this. I would like to be a part of this. It's been a wonderful experience so far, learning and working with everyone, and I'm really love to be a part of this.
Okay, perfect.
Hey, good afternoon, Dr. Michelle. This is George Kiros. How are you?
Hey, George, how are you?
Good, good. Yeah, I just wanted to chime in also and let you know and the others that I'm also very interested in participating in that research project and formalizing that. I've been working with Jennifer and Jordan and Sora in co-leading the quercetin trial, as well as been involved in BCG and a few other of the INDs currently on the way. And
Yeah,
I echo 100% what they've mentioned about having a more streamlined approach, which would help us, move things a little bit more smoothly along. Yeah.
That's perfect.
Hi, Dr. Jack.
Hi, Mansi, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Good, good.
Yeah, so I was interested in like joining this separate research team also, like something that has scope beyond COVID, because some of us would be like applying for the match maybe in the next year or maybe after that. So then that would give us a good 1 year to work on something more substantial, like beyond COVID. So I think this would be like a really good opportunity for us.
Perfect.
Hi, Dr. Michelle.
Hi, Madhu.
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Good.
I think it's a great idea to, make a proper streamline. I totally agree with Kinal and Uzzam. I think it's a great idea. That way we can organize all the volunteers in two different, because they are very enthusiastic. There are different kind of research we can do other than clinical trials. I believe, literature review or even retrospective studies, that's something we don't need to involve patients, or cross-sectional meta-analysis. There are many ways to, approach when it comes to during this pandemic. So it is very important to organize the entire research team. So I'm very interested. I can be, let me know if I can be helpful, Kinal or Uzzam or Jorge. You can reach out to me and we can definitely, make it more organized.
Absolutely. Thanks, Madhu.
That's perfect.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Dr. Michelle. It's
Karun, how
Karun.
are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
You're good.
So yeah, I've been listening to all you guys, and it's a very good point. So what we are doing so far is like there are almost 20 plus INDs, and what I have noticed is that most of the members in all those groups are, whoever are active and taking some lead, they are common in almost most of those INDs. So we definitely already have a core group, and we can definitely try to build on that and find some more interested members from a huge list of the members that are already in Team 11, and we can definitely do make a point of cooperation and come out with something.
Perfect. Perfect. I can tell you that, just getting involved in, from a standpoint of residency programs in general, there's a lot of new residency programs now that are not part of a university, like a lot of the hospital-based programs like ours. And I can tell you that one of the biggest thing they look at is obviously whether they can have residents that are going to be pushing the envelope on especially research articles that that can be published. Whether obviously, like Madhu said, it's not we don't, not everyone would be a double-blind placebo-controlled trial, but we could do definitely a lot of retrospective studies, observational studies, things of that sort. And I think it would just make everybody just so much more competitive. I can see that, and it matches our mission too, because we want to kind of do that with our programs in general. So
yes, exactly.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so as many of the members have been stating that, we can do a lot of different kind of studies. So definitely we can go for systematic reviews, meta-analysis, and the plus point will be that, whenever we do some kind of research, then it will definitely help the team that is on the ground as well, that is actually dealing with the patient. So we have win-win either way. So it's really good idea.
Yeah, and Kinal, one of the things that Team 10 did very well was that they, they have this confidentiality form already signed that everyone can, the people are required to sign. I think we need to, because right now when we're talking about just kind of creating these INDs, we're not really dealing with patient protected information. But as, if anyone that's involved with the retrospective analysis or anything like that is going to have patient names. And so we would need at least something. You could probably borrow it from what's already, I could take one look at it and make sure it's okay. But for example, so we would have a process where, you'd be qualified to be a member. We have at least some type of ID of who the person is, a passport or something, or driver's license. And also they sign off some things, where they pledge to protect patient confidentiality. I think that's super important.
Yes, I agree, Dr. Michelle. And, when we first started this group 11, I know that we got at least, I think, a couple of meetings I remember where we were just learning some basic research, what it means to be part of clinical research. I think we could put something like that in process. So just like how we're doing now, a confidentiality form, a city certification, a GCP certification, and then you finish like even if we were to put like an online course of a few lectures that you must finish. So let's put people through a week or two worth of process to make sure that they understand. I think a big issue we have right now is a lot of our members probably do not have any research experience. And in addition to that, I think the US clinical research has many, many loopholes and very strict rules by FDA, then there are rules, each sponsor have their own rules. So all those little things that we need to be mindful of so that we can, I actually teach clinical research courses at a very small scale school. So I have an idea of what needs to be sort of understood about clinical research. So I can certainly work with Dr. Marcos and put, a small scale course like that. So that we know somebody who is wanting to come in is dedicated and will put in the hours, and not just, not just a one-way street, I guess.
That's great. Also, if you can offer it to, I would try to offer that to the incoming residents. Like right now, I'm requiring them all to take the CT courses, CITI courses, but there's no reason why they can also join our residents in those same formats, because also they'll get to meet them, work with them. So it should help just having that connection.
Absolutely, yes.
Perfect. That's really all I had for today. I know we're getting to doing so many projects. I think we're up to what, 14 or 15 different projects. So I look in the Telegram groups and I see the progress you're making, and I think it's kind of amazing. I don't think this is going anywhere else. So I think we kind of were onto some good formula for how research can be done and how to leverage kind of the needs of medical graduates with the needs of the community. And I think it's a great example of how that can be done. I know Jenny Saman from AAMC has been wanting to post this also in their network as a deposit, especially now with travel restrictions and all that, how this could be done remotely. But still people could be productive while they're still kind of either in quarantine or unable to travel. So I think that's a great thing.
So,
go ahead.
And I totally agree with you that this has been a really wonderful opportunity for international medical graduates, especially at this time where the restrictions and all. It's really been very, very innovative. I want to commend you, Dr. Mitchell, for coming up with this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I think that's all I have for today, unless you guys have any other comments or questions. I'll let you get back to work. I know either you have rotations going on or you're in the middle of these projects, so I don't want to take too much of your time for today. But if you have any other thoughts?
Yes, I actually have one question. Before we end, that was I spoke to one of the PI, which is assigned to one of the project, Bastaxanthin, last time, when we spoke during meeting. One of the concerns he had that there are so many the participants that we are going to involve in majority of clinical trials, either around 350 to 500. Now, I'm aware that there are two campuses, of Larkin. One is the south one and the metropolitan area. Will we have, just hypothetically believe that, if many INDs generally get accepted, will we have many population around, those area, or we will have a trial, extension of sites, that we can modify when, we apply to FDA, or we can modify the content. So do we have more sites in mind in case if we have to extend other than these two?
Yeah, we actually, one of your group members, Tariq, is an internal medicine resident at Kendall Regional Medical Center, which is part of another hospital chain. And they have 2 or 3 hospitals that have residency programs. He hasn't been very successful at getting them involved, but at least he got them to start using convalescent plasma after they kind of learned we were doing it. They're not participating in the study per se yet, but there's also another place in Arkansas that's also kind of copying some of the stuff that we're doing. I think that's going to be, so all of the FDA submissions that I'm aware of, they have that little clause that says that we can expand to
like a trial expansion modifications.
Yes, it does. I believe they all have it as standard. If you copied the original one for the convalescent plasma, it has that already built in. So basically, all we have to do is give like an investigator's brochure and then just make sure that they follow the protocol. I think that might require a whole new team, because the problem with that is, it's one thing to implement something in a place where we kind of control things, and it's another to be dealing with another institution. So we might have to search within our team, or maybe look to add people that, like, for example, Tariq, who's at Kendall, who already I know that if the administration is willing to do something, we have him there, and he's already involved in pretty much all of our trials. So, or a lot of them. I see his name in a lot of them. So that's all. I think actually he had a whole group that was supposed to be kind of recruiting additional people, but people get busy, unfortunately. So it's very hard to add to that. But yeah, I hear you. I think at some point we are going to require additional sites for sure.
I agree. Thank you. I think majority of target populations are at high risk populations, and I believe if there are majority of INDs, including the 350, 500 people, if they're healthcare worker, of course, I believe there'll be a shortage in study population. But if the contact tracer, I remember 2 weeks before we discussed that meeting, through contact tracer, if we find people who are at high risk, we can include those population, in study, because they are still believed to be, high risk, who are either anyone in the families or anybody they were exposed to, COVID-19. If they were exposed to those kind of, high risk people, we can actually include in those studies. But thank you. I think that clarifies we have more than 2 sites in future. We might have to extend. Another concern was co-PI. Some of the residents, she said the one person might be, it might not be feasible for it to, run the entire platform. If it gets, accepted. So she wanted other residents, either in family medicine or internal medicine, to get involved. So I told her, you can find, other second year resident, because she's already in third year, the one who I was speaking. So she had a concern, what if she had to leave? So I said, it is safe to keep other residents who are in second year or maybe at the end of the first year to be a part of as a co-PI. So that way the burden doesn't come on one person.
Yeah, I can tell you that I made it a rule now that all 400 Larkin residents have to take the CITI course in order to start in July. So they all are currently doing that. So, so the segue to that will be obviously that they can also help serve as PIs for your projects. So we have a few people from this group who are starting at I think Camille Go is one, and she's already involved with a couple of the projects. So I think that's the goal, like kind of like, to have some leaders take on, and then hopefully it'll become, each resident in our program is required to do at least one scholarly publication per year. So this should actually help them fulfill that goal just by getting involved. So that would be very helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll post the recording of this in the chat, in the chat, and then I also send it via email, because I think what we'll do is subsequent to this, I don't think it makes sense to have the weekly meetings. I think we'll just continue to communicate via Telegram group. We'll wait for this group at Kinal and Sorab and Madhu and put something together. Jorge, George, we just put something together for how we're going to enroll people into this program, what kind of criteria we're going to have. Obviously, we're going to welcome everybody. The difference is there's going to be some process by which they'll sign off certain forms as far as HIPAA, as far as other things, in addition to just the CITI courses, which I think would be very useful. And then I think Kinal's idea of having in trainings and then judging how many people are participating on those, because obviously if you have no research experience, that's one thing that would be required in order to participate in an IND. Or any type of submission. So that sounds like a plan.
Yes, that sounds great, Dr. Michelle. We'll definitely start working on this. Thank you.
Perfect. I think, we have a great problem, which is if I asked right now to go over each of our INDs, it would take probably longer than an hour because there's so many of them and there's so much stuff going on. But I think that's a good thing. I think that's a great thing. Anyway, I want to thank you for participating today and wish everybody a great day.
Thank you. You too, Dr. Michelle.
Thank you so much, Dr. Michelle.
Thank you. Take care.
Have a good day.
Have a great day.
Thank you, Dr. Michelle, for bringing up this topic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Good day.